Okay, thank you both for joining. It's on Facebook Live, so there might be a few other people who will join us.
Okay.
Um, so yeah, just wanted to thank you for writing in and joining me this Sunday. So as you guys probably know, last Monday, was it Monday? Yeah, last Monday, the
Mhm.
council took a vote on the bridge, approved the project to replace the Newell Bridge, and this was a very controversial project. There are a lot of people who um, had lots of different concerns about this.
Mhm.
So maybe before I dive in, maybe Shripa or Deepa, do you guys want to just quickly introduce yourself and just talk a little bit about your perspective about the meeting and any questions you might have, and then we could have a discussion on this.
Sure.
So Shilpa, why don't you start first, and then Deepa, why don't you go second?
Okay. So I'm Shilpa, and I actually live one home away from Newell, so it's more of a concern and close to heart. I've seen people speeding, despite of having stop signs, despite of it being congested one lane road right now. And we constantly hear kids running into accidents when they're biking. So that's a huge concern because we have a lot of activities that attract kids, which includes like tennis, have a pool close by. We have kids library and parks, like a couple of parks close by, all between the bridge and up until Embarcadero, right? And then we have a couple schools, just between this intersection. So there's just like a lot of kid traffic within that small distance.
Sure.
And making it more larger, making it more visible, deeply concerns me on potentially, you know, getting more traffic and more trouble for the kids.
Yeah, I totally understand that. Deepa, do you want to say a few words?
Sure. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
I live on Edgewood between Newell and Island. My specific sort of interest and area of exposure is I both get to enjoy the traffic that's getting on and off the bridge and on Newell, as
Mm,
well as the increasingly the cut through traffic that's
mm,
coming over on Edgewood. So I sort of have, as I'm considering sort of solutions and impacts, I'm looking at both of those. And to be frank, I think that there's a spillover impact, particularly onto Hamilton as well, just because Hamilton tends to get very busy with traffic during the weekday. And it's quite possible then the block between Center and Newell would also be impacted. Anyway, so I think my concerns is that the where we are right now, the bridge in and of itself today, even if it's technically the way that you have to approach it and actually make a turn onto the bridge is it narrows quite dramatically, and so it forces traffic to slow down. My concern is that if we don't have similar measures that force the traffic to slow down, there'll just be a more flow of traffic through. My concern of the flow of traffic through is that then there's going to be more traffic with the apps, with the development and stuff like that. There ends up being more traffic. Specifically on Edgewood, we have quite a few homes with young children, and as Shilpa mentioned, the young kids are they're heading off to Duveneck, they're heading to elementary school, and then we also hope that those children are then going to go to Green, right? So then they're going to be taking Newell, they're going to be riding their bikes down Newell. So I have concerns about the kids. The other specific concern I have about Edgewood in particular is it's not a straight road. You can't see down from one end of Edgewood to the other. And so because your sight lines are quite limited, and like ends up going quite fast on the road. So those are sort of the things that I would be looking to manage for as we make any changes to the Newell Bridge.
okay. Thank you both for your perspective. So, uh, I've heard from a lot of people concerns about kind of like the traffic calming kind of issues, right? Where there's a term in traffic engineering called induced demand. I'm not sure if you guys heard this term before, but basically it's a concept of like when you have a freeway and you make it a bigger freeway, right? You expect it to fix all the traffic, but it actually is just as much traffic, right? And it's a similar idea, and I think that's what a lot of people are worried about is that you make the bridge a lot wider, and suddenly you're going to see a lot more traffic, right? So it's called induced demand. So yeah, so the council did vote to replace this bridge because there's a lot of concern about flooding, right? So that vote did happen, and um, the decision, I was actually outvoted on this, but the decision was to go with alternative, oh, not alternative, striping option B. Are you guys familiar with the striping options?
Um, I quickly looked through that, but would love to get the confirmation. I think striping option A was a wider car lane, 14 feet, and striping option B was 10 feet wide car lane with a wider bike path and pedestrian path.
Yeah, it's the same. Let me bring it up for you so I could share my screen and then show both of you. Um,
Terrific. Yeah, the city council meeting was the first time that I saw that.
Ah, okay. Yeah, actually, a lot of people said that. A lot of people didn't even realize. I think it was something that staff created after the planning commission. So as a result, like most people never saw this before. Um, okay, my computer's just being slow here. So I'm just trying to bring it up. Let me refresh here. Yeah, so let's see. Let me share my screen so both of you guys could see this. Okay. Do you see my screen now?
Yes.
Okay. Let me make it bigger. Okay, so let's go down to this one. Oh, sorry, let's go to the presentations. It's probably better. Okay, so this is the presentation. It wasn't released till this presentation wasn't released until the night of the council meeting. So
And why was that?
this presentation.
Yeah, but why was it not released so we could get further information before?
Yeah, I generally they have the staff reports, but the presentations come out usually the day of the meeting. So the
I see.
presentations generally tend to be a summary of it,
Okay.
of the yeah. So it's kind of, I think it's because staff is not ready with it yet, and that's why it's
Okay.
separate. But it is a little bit annoying because usually all the important, like you have this really thick staff report, and the most
Right.
important pieces actually are the presentation. So it's kind of yeah, I know what you're saying. It really should, it would be ideal if it was same time. Okay, but you can see, is it too small or should I make it bigger?
No, that's perfect.
Here, let me see. Okay, this is probably better now, right?
Yep.
Okay, so I think on Monday, this was the first time most people saw this.
Mhm.
Um, and so I advocated myself and one
Mhm.
other council member advocated for option B.
Mhm.
But my colleagues did not agree. So 5 of the council members voted for this. I pushed for this, but
Mhm.
I was outvoted. So what passed was this option A. Okay, so this is a complex diagram. So let me kind of explain what's happening.
Okay.
So the current bridge is curb to curb is 18 feet.
Mhm.
Okay, this new bridge, curb to curb, is 28 feet. So it's about 10 feet wider.
Yeah.
So it's like having one more lane of traffic
Mhm.
or one more space width of traffic, right?
Yep.
So it goes from 18 to 28. Okay. Um, and option B basically goes from 18 feet to 20 feet. So it's only 2 feet wider.
Okay.
Okay. and that's one reason why I advocated for option B is because
Mhm.
I know that um, I had maybe 2 or 3 office hours on this already, so I heard a lot of feedback from people who live near the Newell Bridge. A lot of concern about traffic issues, like, hey, is this going to create a lot of induced demand? They didn't use that term, but basically people were worried that a lot of traffic is going to be funneled down the street. And I can imagine with little kids, there's a lot of concern. This is also a bike route for kids to go to school, so there's a lot of concern about this. And the smaller bridge, the 18-foot bridge, is not compliant to get grants to fund the bridge, but this option B is, right. So you could still get all the funding,
Yeah.
and it's roughly the same size as before, just 2 feet wider. So it's something which I felt most people could live with.
Yeah.
But I couldn't convince my colleagues, so my colleagues wanted to go with this. And I think they wanted to go with this because I think East Palo Alto wants to have a wide bridge. So they want to have a wide bridge that I think allows them to get a lot of traffic through it, which is exactly the opposite of what I think the people that live there want, right? So,
Right.
so to me, it's really important to prioritize the people that live in our city versus the people that live in other cities. I realize the people in other cities maybe want to have an easy exit out of their neighborhood, but I don't think the people in our city necessarily want that. So anyways, but I think that's one of the reasons. And then the second reason I think is because,
I would agree with that.
oh, Deepa, your thing's really choppy. Can you say it again, please?
Oh, I was going to say that that I would agree with that. The other thing that I think would happen is that right now, coming over the bridge and going down Newell, you don't have bigger vans and trucks because they're
Mm,
just not going to fit over that bridge.
yeah,
Expanding the bridge, I think you could see a lot bigger vehicles moving down Newell to hit Embarcadero than you do
yeah,
today,
yeah. No, I agree. Right, I agree.
right?
And,
Because
and
right after the 101.
yeah, I mean that's why I just felt this was a better one. It's something which I thought the neighborhood could really accept.
Yeah.
It's slightly bigger than before. Um, but this one is way bigger. This is like one more lane of traffic, right? So it's
Right.
way wider, right? Um, so and the second reason why I thought this was better is because it has a protected bike lane. So most bridges actually tend to have the bike separated from the cars, right? Cars are 2-ton vehicles. Bikes are like 30-pound vehicles, right? And
Yeah.
so generally, especially when there's kids, you generally want to separate. You want to have some sort of physical barrier, not just paint on the ground,
Mhm.
to separate the bikers from the vehicles. Now it does put the bikers and the pedestrians together, but
Mhm.
you know, a biker with a 30-pound bike and a pedestrian, if there is a collision, it's not that bad, right? And it's
Right.
also, this is not like Times Square where you have like a million people walking over it. It's you guys know, you guys live there. It's not a
Yes.
lot, right?
Mhm.
So um so so to me it seemed to be okay to have the biker and pedestrian together because the weight difference between a biker and a pedestrian are very close, but the
Sure.
weight difference between a 2-ton car, and
Mhm.
a biker on a 30-pound bike is dramatically different, right? And
Yes.
so it just seemed to make sense to separate, keep the bikes and pedestrians separate. Um, my colleagues unfortunately did not agree with that. They felt that um, if a biker here ran the stop sign, okay, that someone making a right turn would run them over, which is true, right? But if you run them, even if you didn't do this, right? My argument was, well, even if you didn't have this protected bike lane and the biker was right here, if they ran the stop sign, they would get run over by the car coming this way.
Mhm.
So to me, it didn't make a lot of sense. I go to Home Depot almost every week, and
Mhm.
I just for small projects. So I
Mhm.
bike there all the time. I take
Mhm.
the East Palo Alto Bridge over, and um, I mean, because of how I go, I usually just cross the street and then turn onto I forgot the name of that street that goes to the bridge. Um, so I don't yeah I don't actually make a left. I just cross the street and then I can make a right turn. So to me, the argument of like this is more dangerous than this one didn't make sense to me because I've actually biked this a lot, and most people I think are making a left I think what you would do is you just cross the street and then you'd go. You wouldn't necessarily make a left
Yeah.
like a car would.
Greg, so I mean, just as you figured out a path to go safely with the current Newell Bridge we have,
Sure.
I'm pretty sure if there's any drawback with option B, people will be able to figure out. And I feel it's a lot more safe without giving up too much to the traffic, like 2 feet versus, another 10 feet to the current plan seems a lot more sensible to me. And but safer, I mean, if we have to go through the option of, wider bridge, and if we are getting funded, what is their rationale for making it still wider and not, I mean, I understand EPA probably prefers that, which is fine, but would they not compromise for something? Because
Actually, it wasn't this wasn't their decision. It was so because we're funding this, like we're getting a lot of grants and whatnot, but we're funding this ourselves. Palo Alto is. So
Okay.
East Palo Alto, you could consider their suggestions, but because we're running it, we could
Okay.
decide, right? But
Yep.
basically, I was outvoted, right? So it was 2-5 vote, right? So 5 people wanted this one. Of the 7 people in council, 5 people wanted this one, 2 people wanted this one.
But
So
what was the logic to go over? I mean, what was
East Palo Alto wanted a wider bridge. That's one of their arguments. And
Okay.
the second argument is that they thought it was safer for bikers. But as a biker, I can tell you it's not safer. I mean, I've taken this 20, 30 times at least, right? I know this thing extremely
Yeah.
well. It's not, I don't believe this is safer. In fact, I believe what will happen is, especially kids, grade school kids are still going to take the sidewalk when they cross
Right.
the bridge. They're not, you're not going to find a 5th grader right in the middle of the street. That's just not going to happen, right? I mean, maybe if you're an adult biker, like for me, I'm an avid biker, so I would take the middle of the street maybe, but kids aren't going to do that. I mean, they're going to ride the sidewalk. So now basically you're giving them even less protection than they could have had otherwise. So to me, option B was vastly superior, something which the neighborhood could have accepted. And it's unfortunate that this option wasn't really widely disseminated among the community. Most people found out about it at the meeting, right? And so it didn't give people a chance to weigh in. And so that was the other argument that people made for this one, was that heck, no one really advocated for option B. Well, the reason why no one really advocated is because nobody really knew about it until that night, right?
I think the way that it was it was portrayed on the Palo Alto City Council website was, it looked like there were 4 options, and sort of the option that was that was going to change the least was like an option number 1. So I think people are ready to speak to an option 1.
Well, it's confusing because there's okay. So let me go down here. So it's confusing because there was alternative 1, alternative 2, which wasn't even the presentation. Alternative 3 was alternative 4. So there's 3 alternatives, and then there are 2 striping schemes.
Right.
So what this striping plan was talking about was option 2, or not option 2. I'm using the wrong words. Alignment. What do they call this thing? They called it alternative. Okay, so alternative. So there's alternatives and there's options. Okay, so most of the public outreach that happened was around the alternatives. Alternative 1, 2, or 3, right? Pretty much everyone who lived near here, where you guys are, wanted option 1, keep the bridge roughly the same size. Everyone else who didn't live near there but were worried about flooded wanted option or alternative 2, right? So now the thing that wasn't really widely talked about, unfortunately, was that alternative 2 actually had 2 options. Okay, option A, option B, and most people that I talked to didn't know about this until last Monday, right? Because I think if had people known about it, I think most people would have advocated. There could have been a consensus, because most people that don't live near here don't care if it's option A or option B. They just don't want the property flooded, and I totally get that, right? But people that do live there said they probably would have gone for alternative 2 with option B had they known about it. But because they didn't know about it, basically, and East Palo Alto was pushing for option A.
Mhm.
That's how council voted. So that's
So,
what
so
happened.
yes. So, what I was wondering is sort of what are our options now, and how can we best,
Yeah.
make the best of the situation that we're in now?
Yeah. So to change it now, okay. So this was done with a simple council vote, right? It was a
Mhm.
simple council vote, and so anything done with a simple council vote could also be reversed, right? But it would take a lot of work because you would need to get a lot of people in your neighborhood to um, write in to
Mhm.
lobby the other council members to
Mhm.
convince them that
Mhm.
they should go with option B. It's still not too late because, and okay, when it will be too late is once they actually start construction, once the bids go out, right? So it's gonna be a long time because they have to. There's no money. I mean, you guys probably did you guys watch the council meeting or not really?
On Monday?
Didn't-
Yeah.
Oh, you did. Okay, okay, great. So you heard the question I asked. So there's no real money for this right now. So
Mhm.
there's money that we might get or probably will get, but it's not guaranteed. So we don't even know we have the money for it. So that's the first thing. So this is going to take a while. Okay,
Mhm.
the second thing is um, this has to be put out for bid. So a bunch of contractors have to bid on this project,
Mhm.
and so this is going to take some time. So it's not like you have to do this tomorrow, but
Mhm.
before the contract comes up for approval, there's a chance to change it. But it's going to take a lot of organization on your guys' part in your neighborhood.
Mhm.
So you should go into Nextdoor, go onto your neighborhood email groups or whatever, however you guys talk to each other,
Mhm.
and basically get them to advocate for option B and to get them to
Okay.
write in, get them to lobby the council members.
Mhm.
And I don't think there's gonna be I don't think there's gonna be strong opposition among other
Mhm.
people in Palo Alto. I think most people in Palo Alto they just wanted the property not to be flooded. They
Mhm.
just want an alternative too, which this is.
Yeah.
Um, and I think for the people that live near there probably really want option B.
Right.
And so if you guys can band together and really get the word out and
Mhm.
get a petition going,
Mhm.
um, get get people involved in emailing in and calling in um,
Okay.
before the contract gets approved, before this goes before council for contract approval, which is going to take a while because when I say it's going to take a while, I would expect this would take 6 months or longer. Okay,
Okay.
because the state is like has this big black hole of a deficit right now, right? Sixty
Mhm.
billion dollars, right? And
Right.
I'm not convinced that there's a lot of, like I don't know where a lot of this money is going to come from, right? Because unlike the federal government, it's not like the state or the county or the city could just print money, right? So
Mhm.
like where's all this, like we have this 25% unemployment right now in California, right? We have like people have lost a lot of jobs. So where's all this money going to come from? I don't know, right? So I think this is going to take longer than we may all think, just because of the economic circumstances. So it gives the neighborhood time to try to organize and try to um, sway the council. So basically, for the 5 people that voted against it, you have to get at least 2 more on board,
Okay.
right? And it's possible. So I mean, you had 2 already who said option
Is
B.
that
You just
application?
need 2 more.
So, can we do we have like a contact email where we can reach the other 5 people, or how does I mean I personally have not done the petition before. I can reach out to the people who did that, but
Yeah.
any pointer, yeah.
Well, all of our email addresses on the website, so
Okay.
you could go to the Alta City Council
Okay.
and basically uh, myself and Lydia
Mhm.
were the
Mhm.
only ones supporting option B. Everyone else on this list here
Okay.
voted for option A.
Okay.
Yeah, so
Sorry, it was yourself and Lydia
yeah,
Lydia.
who
just the two of us.
voted
Just
for
the
it.
two of us. Just the two of us supported option B. The rest of
Okay.
them voted against it.
Okay.
Yeah. So, um, yeah. So basically, and if you could email individually or you could email city council. It doesn't really matter.
Okay.
Um, but it just what will take is a very concerted, organized effort to
Okay.
make this happen, right? And
And
so,
how many signatures are required to make this
oh,
change?
So to change council decision is it's going to be a lot of work. I mean, you're going to need a lot of people. Like you're going to have to, so what will have to eventually happen is probably something called, it's called a colleagues memo, right? So right now we would need to have like um you probably want to be pretty sure you want to tell me who is like supporting it, right? Otherwise, it would be what's called a Brown Act issue. But you guys got to have at least really another two council members on board. Otherwise, if this comes up again, the vote will be the same, right? So
Okay.
you got to convince two others
Okay.
that B is what the neighborhood wants and it's the right thing to do.
Okay.
And once we believe that we have some more council members who agree with this, how do you bring it up for vote again? What does it
Yeah.
take to do that?
So then it would be a call. So either the mayor or city manager could put this on the agenda, but it's unlikely that they would. The mayor is the one who also voted against this, so it's unlikely that they would naturally do this. So it would have to be a colleagues memo. So myself or someone else could. In fact, I'll be happy to write a colleagues memo, but there'll have to be enough. There'll have to be another, one or two council members who'd be willing to sign on to it to put this back onto the agenda, and then we would have to have another vote on it.
So, Greg, my question is, I think in the recent emails I read, I heard that there were at least 100 people, neighbors, who opposed, I mean, before the decision was made, who
Yeah.
opposed this alternative
Yeah.
option two.
Yeah.
Most people were voting for option one,
Yeah.
and it happened, and people just unanimously voted. So I'm
Yeah.
trying to understand how many people are involved and what numbers are we talking to make get like two more members to support us.
As many as possible. I mean, really, like I would have all those people who were not supportive of alternative B two to say, hey, support option B.
Okay.
And I think this time around you would not have. They were not last. I think the unfortunate thing was pitting people who wanted option one versus option or alternative one versus alternative two
Correct.
against each other. I think
Correct.
with option B, the elegant thing about this is I don't think there's going to be any opposition. I don't think anyone else in Palo Alto. Now East Palo Alto may complain, okay,
Correct.
but everyone else in Palo Alto, I don't think is going to complain like, oh no, we really want option. I don't think, I don't think that's going to happen. But East Palo
I
Alto will
agree.
East
Yeah.
Palo Alto people will push for it. But
Yeah.
within Palo Alto, I don't think you have a lot of opposition to option B.
I agree. I mean, if the funding all is coming from Palo Alto, I mean, we should at least have a middle compromise, right? We can't go from supporting option one to not having anything. I think option two with option, I mean, alternative two with option B is a good compromise that we can live with.
I thought so. Yeah. I thought it was the right right approach.
Okay.
And I remember there was some discussion about the traffic lights and how there was going to be traffic lights in front of one neighbor.
I think that was alternative one, right? But
Okay.
this, yeah. So I think keep it simple. I think you guys could print up the slide, show it to people, ask people what they want, start a new petition. Get that's what it's going to take. Get a letter writing campaign. That's what it's going to take to change this right now.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, there's one other technicality that maybe could be helpful, right? That could cause a revote right away. Are either one of you guys lawyers or not really? Or
No.
No?
Sure.
Oh, you're a lawyer?
Oh yeah.
Oh, you're okay.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Sorry, am I a lawyer or a voter?
Oh,
No,
lawyer.
Lawyer.
Not a lawyer, a voter.
A voter. Okay. Well, that's also there's also the election, right? So maybe people who care about, like, for instance, I'm up for re-election, right? So this is, I would definitely want to talk to voters. So that might also help a little bit. But the reason why I was asking is either if you're lawyers or if either any of the people who maybe support option B are lawyers, is I think there was an error made on Monday meeting, which is there's a rule that says anytime you could split a vote, like split an item out, you have to, right? And so the original motion was staff's recommendation, right, which was alternative B, and then alternative picking option A was added on to staff's recommendation. And when I asked city attorney, hey, shouldn't we split this vote? Because I didn't support option A at all. I wanted to vote for the for the bridge so we don't have flooding, but not supporting option A. The attorney says I couldn't do that, but it's kind of weird because the staff recommendation didn't have option A on there, right? So
Wow.
so I think there was actually a technical mistake, and directly if you could find someone that's a lawyer that could research this, that technical mistake could cause this item to be revoted again, like automatically. So that's a little. I'm not a lawyer myself, so you would if you go around, if you find someone that is a lawyer, if they could research this a little bit, you may find that the city attorney made a mistake on her um her legal opinion about whether the item should be split or not. Because generally the rule says anything that can be split has to be split, right? And she says no, this item can't be split because but my thing was, well, you added on option A to a staff recommendation. So how can it not be split? Because it wasn't in there to begin with, right? So
Right.
I think that was an actual mistake. But so that could be also used to force
Okay.
yeah. So and by the way, this whole thing's recorded, so you guys could take this video link and send it to other people. We also created a video summary of the Newell Bridge meeting. It's like a 9-minute summary of the Newell Bridge meeting. So we have you have both these videos you guys could use to try to help.
But sorry, but speaking about splitting, we might have to split this a little short and allocate some time to the next group of people.
Okay,
So,
yeah, so I got to jump to my next call, but thank you so much for being civically engaged, and let me know how else I could help.
Thank you so much, Greg.
Thank you so much for reaching out. Really appreciate it.
Of course. Okay, have a good day.
You too.